charges that you either seduced them or that you attempted to seduce them?
I have no answer why that they're doing it, only the fact that it is not true, it never happened, and you talking of a few people that have left this ministry that are making...
It's not a few. There are more than 20 witnesses.
You mean 20
who have
people?
Come forward.
Would you call 20 people a lot out of thousands of people?
Yeah, I would call 20 people a lot.
Well...
You don't think it's unusual that 20 people over the course of years would say that you've made homosexual advances on them?
No, I do not.
Pastor Davis says all his accusers have connections to each other, and that their common link is racism. He has always taken a progressive line on race relations, and says the accusations have been an effort to destroy that work.
Are you saying this is some conspiracy?
Yes, sir. I really feel that it is.
Good morning.
This is just one of the very unpopular things that can scar and destroy a minister. And it's not destroyed me because it's not true.
Indeed, Davis has not been destroyed, despite accusations going back more than 20 years. In the late 60s, he left his church in Arkansas. Amid charges, he seduced students at this Bible college. In 1979, an Illinois judge issued an emergency order removing Davis as a probation supervisor after a young man in his custody said Davis demanded sex. In 1982, the Navy declared the Christian Fellowship off limits after hearing accounts of sexual abuse from ex-sailors, but the ban has since been lifted. And in 1983, Davis was tried on a criminal charge of having sex with a minor. He was acquitted.
I don't like the fact that this man is able to stay out there in Waukegan, hide behind a religious organization, and do the things he's done. I don't like it, and I hope maybe it'll stop someday.
Former U.S. Attorney Dan Webb and his colleague Steve Molo have spent months investigating Davis. They represent reporter Adrian Drell, who, starting in 1980, wrote a series of exposés about the ministry for the Waukegan News-Sun, and has been locked in a legal battle with Davis ever since. Attorney Webb says the reason the pastor has never been convicted is that cases end up being one person's word against another's.
The things that he does, which is to psychologically overpower and seduce sexually young men, disturbed young men, doesn't necessarily lead itself to developing an abundance of evidence. It's hard to prove. These are difficult cases.
Whatever the reason, the Christian Fellowship has not only stayed in operation, it has flourished. And his accusers say Davis hasn't changed either. In fact, the most chilling accusation we heard against him involved a case over the last 3 years. While most of the Christian Fellowship's churches are near naval bases, Pastor Davis also set up a mission in Tijuana, Mexico. He came here to the local tourist strip looking for new followers. He approached young men and at least one boy who was only 13 years old. Enrique, as we'll call him, remembers meeting Pastor Davis in 1987.
I didn't know nothing, I just knew that he was a man of God and everything he was telling me was true.
Enrique says Davis brought him to Waukegan to work at Church headquarters. Within weeks, he says the pastor pressured and finally persuaded him to have sex, even though Enrique was only 13.
He turned everything around. He betrayed me as far as a friend, because you don't do stuff like that to a friend.
And how often did this happen?
It was like if I was his spouse.
You belonged to him?
Yeah.
And it went on for how long?
For 2 years.
Do you know this person? We are not going to use his name because he's still a minor, but do you know that person?
Yes, I do.
Who is he?
It's a young man that is from Tijuana, Mexico, and San Diego, California.
This young boy says that you had sex repeatedly with him 3 years ago when he was 13 years old. In fact, that you had sex with him in this very room.
Well, you know, it's really amazing that this same young man gave a statement on tape, and a written statement, and we have, that nothing ever occurred immoral or wrong. We have those statements.
Davis produced a letter addressed to whom it may concern that says, "At no time have I seen homosexual acts, and Pastor Davis lives a straight life." Davis says the boy wrote the letter himself. Enrique says it was written for him, and he was ordered to sign it. What makes Enrique's case especially disturbing is that Pastor Davis has been accused of sexually abusing minors before. Long before. Before Enrique was even born, there was another young boy, 14-year-old Bill Decker. The year was 1969.
He was there for us. He took us to carnivals, to fairs.
Decker says the pastor was a second father to him. His own dad was in Vietnam, and his family attended Davis's church in Pocahontas, Arkansas. But it all changed when the boy spent that Christmas Eve at Davis's house. Decker says the pastor's request for an alcohol back rub turned into something else. A memory still painful 21 years later.
I sat there with the alcohol. I looked at the bottle and I looked at him. I said, "No." Scared to death. I said, "I'm going to bed." He flipped over. "It's all right, forget it. Everything. Settle down, it's okay, I didn't mean anything by it."
But Decker says that Davis persisted that Christmas Eve, trying to grab him and coax him into sex.
And he's kept asking, "Come over and sleep with me, keep me warm." No. Come and, his wife and kids are right in the next room.
His wife and kids
His wife was in her room, the kids were in their room. "Bill, come over and sleep with me. Keep me warm, it's cold out." No.
Decker says he reported the incident to his mother.